What is up guys, and welcome back to SPVIDZ. In this video I want to show you a little tip with the pattern sequencer. I'm using the SP303 here as an example, but this should apply to any SP device that's got a pattern sequencer on it. So from my collection I've got the 555, the 404SX and the 303. This little tip should apply to all of those devices. So let's get into this tip. What I want to show you guys is when you're laying down drums on the pattern sequencer, things can sound a little off even if you think you've got it right. Now we've spoken about pattern sequencer before, it's got a lot of quirks and you do need to work around them, but this tip may really help to tighten up your drum loops. So this isn't really for samples, this is more for drums. And what it is, it's a case of playing around with the start and end points of each sample. So if you're hitting the pads with the samples that you've got, especially if you've recorded them into the device, which I always have to with the 303. So I've got some drum sounds here, and these are incidentally from my brand new Lo-Fi Drums pack, Lo-Fi Drums Volume 3. If you want to support me, head over to SPVIDZ and pick that up. It's brand new and it's got loads of different sounds in there ready for you to make lo-fi beats with. So I've got these three sounds on the pads and they sound like they trigger exactly when I press the pads. It's basically impossible to tell if there's any dead space before those because there could be slight milliseconds, and because we don't have a display that shows the waveform on these devices, it's by ear and we kind of have to work around that. So basically you might be slightly off with your drum sounds because it's very, very difficult to tell if those slight milliseconds exist on the start of your drums. So the best way to work around this is to actually get your drums on a sequence. So I've gone ahead and done that here on a pattern. Okay, and I have used quantize for some of this. I used quantize for the hi-hats and some of the kicks as well, just to get those in time, and then I didn't use them for the snare, and there was a few other kicks in there which I didn't use it for either. So we're not quantizing everything, but we have quantized quite a lot, so I'd expect the loop to sound solid, but unfortunately it does sound a bit ragged. Now the beauty with this is we can play around with the start end points of each sample while this pattern is actually looping around. So we can keep listening to it and we can tighten up those drums and get them sounding a lot better than they already do. So let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do here is go into pattern select, start the drum loop, then I'm going to hop out of it and I'm going to start pressing the individual pads and adjusting their start end points. I'll do them in order, so 5 is kick, 6 is snare and 7 is the hi-hat, and I'll go through those in that order and I'll tighten them up and then I'll pause the loop and we can talk a bit more about what's happened. So let's get that going and let's do some adjustments. Okay, so I went through there, I chose each drum individually, which is really simple to do. You can see them flashing as it's playing. And I used the start and level button for each pad individually and just adjusted that start point. Now, if I completely throw those off, you'll see the difference that this can make. So let's go back into that pattern, and what I'm going to do is completely screw with the start points, and you can see what a difference it could make. So let's get this started again. I actually kind of like the sound of that, to be honest. So you may be able to use it to your creative advantage, but as you can see there, for the sake of this example, let's just hypothetically say that has ruined the beat. And I'll just quickly go back in again now, correct those errors, and we can get that loop sounding nice and tight again. So let's get it started. Okay, so not the most crazy drum beat in the world, but I hope that gives you the knowledge of what I'm trying to show you there, that if there's tiny little bits of dead space before the drum sounds, they can completely throw the sounds off on the grid, because what the SP will do is quantize from the start of that sample, and if there's a bit of dead space and then the snare hit, it's not going to quantize from the start of the snare hit, it will quantize from the start of the silence. Like I was saying, when I started messing around with that, it did actually sound pretty funky and quite cool, so experiment around and use it to your advantage as well. Maybe you can make the snares a little bit later, or make the hi-hat hits a little bit later by having some little dead space on the start of them. It can really loosen up your beats and get away from that sort of robotic quantized feel. So this is going to happen particularly when you're just recording drum sounds using your line-in and not using, say, the import feature like you can on the SP404SX. If you're using the import feature, you're not going to have any problems with this at all, because it's just going to import the sample. But when you're recording, obviously there's always going to be like tiny little bits of dead space on the start of your samples, no matter how hard you try. You could also get around this by using auto trig when you're recording in as well. But yeah, to be honest, I don't always remember to put that on, so if you are having that problem with your drums, then that could be the solution to tighten them up on the grid and get those loops sounding nice and tight. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope that one helps you. Like I say, it doesn't just apply to the 303, you can use that on any pattern sequencer that appears on an SP device. And yeah, either use this tip to your advantage to get those drums really tight, or use them in a really creative way to get them all off the grid and sounding crazy and get some of that sort of natural swing and rhythm into your beats. Hope this tip was useful, guys. I'll be back with content very soon. Like I said, don't forget to check out SPVIDZ.com for my brand new Beat Pack Lo-Fi Drums Volume 3. And also, if you want to be a member as well, hit the link underneath the video. Membership gives you loads of different perks, like discount in my shop, access to exclusive content, etc, etc. So yeah, if you want to support me on a monthly basis for a very small amount, that would be really appreciated as well. Check out the link below the video. Until next time, guys, keep making beats, and I'll be back very soon. Peace!